And let the countdown begin.
Here we go. The first map is Damien. Not my favorite map. I'm more of a fighting spirit kind of guy. But let's see how this goes.
Oh my god.
You want to introduce the first player? Or set up?
Hold on a second.
Alright.
Okay, spawning on the top portion of the map as the blue Zerg, we have Pro Forward.
And spotting at the bottom position, we have Orange Terran, Diarrhea Terran. It's unfortunately he didn't get brown this time. Usually he is. But his Terran is the shit.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Son of a bitch. The progress bar is definitely visible. I'll fix that after this game. It won't kill anyone.
That's fine.
Yep. So
we'll just pretend we don't see it.
Yeah, right. So from the looks of it, it looks like we're not seeing anything crazy.
This is a 3-player map. What do you think as a Zerg player? Does a 3-player map favor the Zerg or the Terran, and why?
I mean, maps can only go so far. If it goes into the later game, I feel like it definitely can go into the Zerg's favor, because if he takes the far expansion, he's able to cut the map into 2/3, and the Terran's pretty much an uphill battle the entire time. That's why a lot of players thought like Aztec was Zerg favored, because if they get that far third, then it's just easier for them to just creep and take all the other map or other bases. And but in the early game, it doesn't really matter, because if they choose to be aggressive, either or, you know, depending on the outcome of that, you know, it sets the pace of the game from there. So in the late game aspect, I feel like it favors Zerg, but early game, it's up to both players, really.
And having said that, we see that Pro Forward is going for a 9-pull speed build. There's Diarrhea Terran's kind of going for a safe opening. So let's see how this plays out. I'm assuming some early link shenanigans.
Yep, and due to the fact that it's a 3-player map, the SCV of Diarrhea Terran is actually going to be able to scout out Pro Forward relatively quick. Going to be able to see the fact that the gas is up and 3 eggs are morphing, so he knows it's going to be a laying pressure momentarily. And there go the wings. There we go.
Taking 4 drones to fight that one SCV off the mineral line was a bit of a mistake there from Pro Forward.
It's not too crazy. All the minerals, like, he's still going to be able to produce the larva.
Now he has 2 larvae idle.
Yeah. I'm not sure what he's doing right now. But good response coming out from Diarrhea Terran, throwing out a couple SCVs to block up the ramp so these Zerglings cannot just get in easy peasy lemon squeezy, as Marines are going to be rallied to behind the SCVs to be able to provide a little bit of damage. Oh, there's a drone in the mix. Uh-oh. Whoops. So, really, kind of really bad control coming out from Pro Forward, because with this type of style, you have to be really aggressive. But, oh my god. Oh, never mind. I thought this SCV got some drone kills, but actually there's going to be a drone pull to the base of Diarrhea Terran. But see, the only reason this is not going to work is he doesn't have vision of a mineral line up here to be able to drone drill his way through the ramp, completely bypassing the SCVs and the Marines. So
that's what I was going to ask you. Where the hell is he drilling to? Because he has no vision of the main. So there it is.
Yep. So the bunker does go up. The 2 Zerglings are going to be able to get in the base. The drones are just going to completely die. Really, just weird build in general. And the Zerglings in the main are dead, and this is pretty much GG.
Yeah, I think the Zerg hero here doesn't really have much of a chance. I have no idea what kind of build that was, though.
It was a I just want to leave the game. Yeah.
Pro Forward, if you're watching this, you had too many larvae idle. You shouldn't have taken so many drones off the line to fight an SCV. And then you can't drill if you don't see what he has in his main. Had you moved the Overlord that's now at 3 o'clock, that's been sitting there all game, had you moved it down to the 6 o'clock position, you might have gotten vision of his mineral line. Massed some Zerglings, waited for the vision, and then drilled. You might have had a chance. As it is, we have a GG.
All right. And that was game 1.
Exciting stuff there.
Yeah. Which team was Terran on?
Terran, I believe, was on Team Assimilate. Pro Forward, I believe, was Magical Ponies, but I could be wrong. If someone in the chat wants to correct me, I would appreciate that. Yeah, the Terran was on Team Assimilate. The ass team. Ass.
All right.
So Team Assimilate jumps out to an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a picture real quick.
Oh, to put over the progress bar?
Yeah.
And shout out to everybody in the chat. Crazy.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Even though this is a very last second, I appreciate the support. And man, he like, okay, I'm just gonna do something real simple.
It's okay. In the meantime, I'll give you a shameless plug. So since Herbmon was so nice to do this cast on short notice, I just want to say that everybody should be watching his stream on a regular basis. Great Zerg player. Also something that Herbmon has that no other streamer has, not even Scan. He has 2 secret weapons, his wife and his dog, who are regulars on the stream. I pretty much just watch the stream for them.
Oh, thanks, I guess.
So definitely check out his stream whenever you get a chance. Fine, Cadenza, you get a shout out too. She asked for it in the chat, I guess. And, next week, you guys are going to play the winner of this match. Is your team ready? Have they been practicing?
Oh yeah, they're always practicing. The thing is, though, is like I feel kind of bad because I don't really like do much. Seriosity, I think, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and Dragon are pretty much like the main coaches for that. Occasionally, a few of the Zergs will hit me up for practice for ZDZ, but other than that, I mean, they pretty much do everything. So I feel kind of bad that my name's on the team when I don't really participate too much. But it looks like I got everything set up. So who won again? Magical Ponies won?
No, Team Assimilate won.
All right.
Okay. Well, anyway, you gave them the herb of Dragon Herb. And to me, the name is more important than any practice that you can have. I think the name says it all, and it's probably going to dictate how well you do. So,
yeah. Well,
all credit goes to you.
One of the pupils is saying I'm the mascot, so awesome. I'm the
Dark Matter. Shout out to Dark Matter.
Yeah. All right. So same
My
game
favorite player
name.
in the league, by the way. Okay, Cpl.
And the map will be on Jade.
I actually like Jade just because the terrain is blue. I like the color blue.
Yeah, I like pretty much all the colors. The only like maps that I'm not a big fan of is the
red ones.
Yeah, I can't think of it. Like the Ash World. No. That one's fine. It's like Ash World, so like Ground Zero, if you know what that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, so let's kind of. Crap, I don't have that either. I feel so bad that I'm kind of just like butchering this cast because I seen that Jealousy or Babbo or whatever name he goes by. He took my idea and like graded every like thing about like each player, and since I don't have that list, I don't want to.
I remember off the top of my head what it was. It was micro, macro, strategy, and swag.
Yeah, so Pro Forward got none of that.
Not applicable. So
yeah.
Pro Forward got an NA for not applicable.
Yeah.
Diarrhea Terran. I told you guys ahead of time. I told you his Terran is the shit.
No pun intended. But yeah, he responded to everything accordingly. So I mean, gold star and everything. But let's get into game 2. And like we said before, it was on Jade. So
Jade, here we go. 4-player map with a reverse ramp. So could end up having some interesting stuff going on. Oh, Tippy.
Alright, so spawning. Oh wait, crap. I don't know whose teams are, so this is gonna hurt, but spawning at the top left-hand corner of Jade as the blue Protoss, we have Fat Reaver. Alright.
Shit. I hear you.
Ooh, you're breaking up pretty bad. You there?
I'm here.
Yeah, it's like you're coming in robotic and like broken up.
Fuck. Calling it?
Yeah, let's try that real quick. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you're coming in better. So you can do the bottom right.
So at the bottom right, we have our teal Protoss from Team Magical Ponies, Jordaddy.
Jordaddy.
Who's daddy?
Jordaddy.
Jordaddy.
Oh, I like that. All right.
I hope that's why he has his name like that, but I have no idea.
All right, so interesting stuff coming out. Pretty much a standard build coming up from Jordaddy, as it looks like we're going to be seeing a double gate build coming out from Fat Reaver. In the scouting, Jordaddy will be able to get the first scout off first.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I actually had a brief conversation with Fat Reaver a couple of days ago about his game. He was just bouncing a couple ideas, and so I think whatever build he has is something that he has planned, prepared. It's not just a random build going into the game. So I expect to see some high-level play from Fat Reaver, and I expect to see Jordaddy maybe reacting to it. But let's see how it plays out.
So with the double gateway coming out of Fat Reaver, he is delaying his economy, not economy, but his tech to be able to produce a little bit of aggression with zealots. And more than likely he's going to push his way across, as Jordaddy is going for the faster Dragoon play. It definitely goes into defenders. Actually, since it's a reverse ramp, I don't know how this is actually going to work out.
I think in a reverse ramp, 2-gate is a stronger opener.
Oh, yeah?
And the way that Fat Reaver did it, where he's not gotten gas in a while, I would suspect that he's probably going to go into a Nexus. And yeah, we see he has a probe already on the natural, getting ready to take that.
Oh, good.
For Jordaddy, he has his robotics going up. I'm sorry, his cybernetics core. He made 3 zealots, which is pretty good. I'd like to see him either add tech or get a second gateway here. Currently, he's not researching range. And there he goes. He's making a robotics facility, so look for either a Reaver or possibly even a DT drop. He is known to like his DTs.
Yeah, there is no range being upgraded, so definitely is a possibility for going Reaver or DT, but I'm pretty sure the Citadel would already be down by now if he was going to go for Dark Templar. And there's a Citadel, so yeah, we are going to see Dark Templar.
There it is, a Dark Templar drops, which is a pretty good reaction, I would say, to a 2-gate fast expo.
Oh, but Fat Reaver is able to get the scout off.
And he already had a forward pylon, so that leads me to believe that probably end up getting some kills. But because he scouted a 1-gate instead of a 2-gate, this goes back to what I said about a 2-gate being better. If he had went Jordaddy, I mean, if he had went 2-gate, there's no way Fat Reaver would have been able to get this core and just tech naturally without getting a forge. He would have had to get a forge immediately, throw down some cannons, which would economy a little bit. And if behind it Jordaddy just expanded himself without getting cannons, then he would have been pretty much even or ahead at that point. But instead, we're going to get a DT opener here. He is getting the Forge now, so we'll probably see some go up. For some reason, Daddy's pushing up map with 3 units. And this is not going to go well for him.
Not at all.
Yep.
Those 2 zealots were caught off guard and surrounded by Fat Reaver zealots, and Daddy didn't really wait for his units to clump up together before he pushed out, so that was actually kind of bad control coming out from him. Shuttle is out, so we're going to be seeing a double Dragoon being built right now. So, okay, yeah, the Templar Archives is about to finish up. And 619...
And one note for any Protoss players out there, I think if you were in Daddy's position, if you wanted to poke in like that, theoretically you should have had earlier tech and therefore earlier Dragoons. You should keep your Zealots a little bit far away and then use the Dragoons to micro down some Zealots. If you can pick off even a couple, that'll put you a little bit ahead. And it would have made it even stronger.
I like the fact that we do have a cannon at the natural, although I don't think 1 cannon would be sufficient. But actually, there's double cannons in the main, so if the Dark Templar drop does happen, it's not going to really be able to do too much. The aggression coming out from Fat Reaver is going to be able to push into the natural of Daddy. Daddy is basically got 3 Dragoons, and this Zealot's pretty much dead. But actually, these Dark Templars might actually be able to clean up everything else out here, or at least reprod the attack coming out from Fat Reaver.
Cute little move here, holding the DT on the ramp does make it tight. But the downside of that, though, is that for sure, Fat Reaver knows that Dark Templars are on the map. You know, because sometimes people will see that the Dark Templar tech got scouted. They might transition into something like, let's say, Speed Zealot, Bust, or something like that. But for sure, now he knows that he's up to it. I think just goes back and plays a little defensive. He'll pretty much be far ahead of his.
Yeah, so the economy coming up from Fat Reaver, though, is actually pretty well. His natural's up. It's from the majority of the game we've seen him producing probes out of his Nexus, so it hasn't really been idle too much. 619, I will cast the Clan War. Just gather up the replays because, once again, I don't want to have any issues with lag with the Koreans and Americans playing.
Except 1 shot off was not good control.
All right, so we actually got a 3 Dark Templar hit squad coming out to the natural of Fat Reaver. Actually, they're going to go elevator right into the main. This is actually really good play, but the cannon, I think, is going to be able to provide detection throughout all the gateways. Oh, no! Oh, the shuttle almost dying completely before dropping the Dark Templars, but the 3 Dark Templars are able to drop. The robotics facility is up, and the observatory just now finishing. Daddy's actually going to be able to try to focus down the facility, but once again, that cannon's going to be able to deter those Dark Templar for a little bit longer.
I think he'd be better off at the natural. I think if he's trying to hit the Nexus at the top, especially at the top right corner, I don't think that cannon covers it. He'd probably be able to pick. I don't think so. He'd probably be able to pick off a lot of probes and maybe even get the Nexus. But having said that, he invested into all this DT tech and pay off in terms of damage. We look at the supplies, he's at least 17 supply down. Not looking too good for Daddy here.
Yep. Okay. Looks like Daddy is actually able to sneak his Dark Templars into the natural, like you were saying, and is going to start focusing down some of the probes. The cannons are out of sight, and this natural mineral line is going to freaking fall. Oh no!
He's losing control.
Yeah, he lost control, and an observer just came out from Fat Reaver just in time, so he was able to deal with this accordingly. And behind this aggression, though, Daddy did take an expansion, but it doesn't look like he has too much for a army to really deal with the bigger army of Fat Reaver that's currently pushing across the map.
Fat Reaver's money going to 1,500, so he's probably should be starting to add some gateways here. I did see his forge; it's almost done, so he's probably looking for a +1 timing window. So we should be seeing an attack out of him come out any minute. These cannons might not be in time, and even if they are, I think they might not be enough to hold this off. Not have a GG.
Yeah, so if Daddy is able to hold this, though, he is doing a lot better job of maintaining his economy and everything. But I don't know. This is actually looking like it's just going to completely stomp Jordaddy, so this is not looking too good. Time is what he needed.
Yeah, he would have probably been better off. I see that he already researched Storm. He would have, and now the Templar came out. If these Templars were maybe 30 seconds quicker, you know, he had a couple more gates and results, he would definitely himself. He said that GG.
Yep, and that's game 2. And
good game and good job to Fat Reaver.
Yep.
So just my 2 quick points about both players. For Fat Reaver, I think he pretty much played that about as good as you could. The one thing that I would say is he just needed to macro a little bit better as money got high. And also in the natural, this cannon didn't cover the Nexus itself. Usually on the natural, even though you cannon towards the front, you either want to have your cannons a little bit closer to your Nexus, or you can make one in the middle, like one cannon.
Yep.
And for Jordaddy, I think, well, he just didn't play that well at all. He had a good idea with the DTs. He should have went to the and killed that off. And then he should probably transition in Storm drop or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he tried the best of his ability, but it just he wasn't able to really do any like army damage to Fat Reaver with his Dark Templars, and his natural did come up a little bit later. So I mean, the only thing he needed was just a little bit more time. If he was able to do that, I'm pretty sure he would have been able to just completely out macro Fat Reaver. But Fat Reaver just keeping his army together, just winning a few engagements, and then in the end was just able to steamroll Jordaddy. And it's pretty much the way she goes when it comes to PvP.
Yeah, he also shouldn't have poked out early on and lost those units. He should have just sent some Dragoons out and go down to Zealots. And then once his DT tech was scouted, I would have probably just transitioned into Speed Zealots or an Expo or something like that. Just kept going with it, and it worked out.
Game's up.
So, Overwatch, okay. The 2-player version. I think there's like a 4-player and a 2-player version of this map.
This is the Foreigners version of Overwatch. The Korean version is the 4-player, I think.
Yeah, this map has a blue terrain also, and it's 2-player map. The positions are top left and bottom right. There's some maps kind of in the middle. I'm sorry, there's some expansions in the middle of the map and some kind of along the edges. So it makes for interesting opportunities, encounters, and flank. We'll see how it goes.
All right, so let the countdown begin.
Okay, you want to introduce the first player?
All right, spawning on the bottom right-hand corner of Overwatch as the Teal Terran. You know him, you love him. It's Inz DNH.
And at the top left, as the purple Zerg, you have Genji.
Woo! Genji.
And so we have TVZ. What do you think of TVZ on this map?
You know, I've never really got to play this map too much, but let me take a quick look at it. Standard. I always like maps with big mains. Close third. Fourth. It's a pretty standard map, other than the fact that like the natural is really hard for the Terran player to push in to like really put on aggression towards the Zerg player. So I feel like that could definitely allow the Zerg player to get a little bit of an advantage. But after that, I mean, a lot of closed spaces, so it could work in both factors. Good for lurker position play, but at the same time, siege tanks just become stronger.
Yeah, I think this map is good for mech.
Yep.
And having said that, I just want to point out that DNH Darknet Hunter, he's going 8 racks at his natural. What do you make of that? What do you think as a Zerg player when you see that?
No, he's going to bunker rush. Wholeheartedly bunker rush.
Sounds like you've had one or two bad experiences.
I've had about 100 bad experiences, give or take.
And sure enough, Genji went 12 hatchery, and he's actually going 12 pool behind him. So opting to get one more drone, which is usually not bad, but a 2-player map against an 8 racks player, that's probably not going to work out too well. But let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so the drone scout does happen. Oh, and the Marine wasn't pushing across the map, so that was kind of a little fail on DNH's behalf. But he is now... Nope. I guess he's just waiting to group up his Marines to get a little bit so he can push and kill off any pulled drones a lot easier. But it looks like Genji is going to be following the Marines and basically scouting out to see where they're going. But
good play here from DNH trying to go for the Overlord, but I don't think he's going to get it.
Nope.
Genji
gets the drone
over here by the water. That's a nice little position for them. But I think doing all this bought some time for Genji, who has not seen that bunker somehow. I don't know why you wouldn't move a drone up or an Overlord there. Now he's pulling the drones, but might be a little too late. Let's see what happens.
So this isn't too much of an issue. If he pulls the drones a little bit late, he could go past the bunker and attack the Marines, but was able to actually snipe off the SCV pretty easily, and is going to be attacking the Marines as well. But some really good micro coming out from DNH. If DNH loses this SCV, though, he's going to be kind of in a bad position with this bunker rush, and Zerglings are out. So yeah, DNH pretty much lost this aggression. What the? Oh man, that was clutch. Whoa.
Can you get that Marine in the ball?
No. That was some really cute play coming up from DNH, actually, though. Canceling his SCV off the bunker just so it only took, like, not even a second for it to finish. But,
now we have Ling streaming across the map. Behind this DNH. Is that wall tight? Lick tight?
I'm not sure.
I guess we're about to find out.
Yeah.
And if it is, then kudos to DNH. I think it is, actually.
It is.
Very impressive.
Nice. Good stuff, DNH. All right. So, DNH really showing.
That's a man who had a plan.
Yeah, exactly. But pretty standard stuff coming up from DNH, though. Doing the super aggressive bunker rush into an expansion due to the fact that he knows how to wall off this map properly. He doesn't have to worry about any type of aggression because the only thing that's going to be able to come is Zerglings for the time being, and all he's got to do is repair. Throwing down the Academy and Refinery as well after his expansion. He's going to be teching into either like a more than likely a 2 racks a CAD play style from here on out, which is another aggressive build. And if he gets everything situated before the Muta timing from Genji, and he could possibly just break down the natural of the Zerg player. So this game could go either way.
And I just want to point out, usually as a Terran player, usually you get a second barracks first, and then you get the Academy. Knowing DNH, I don't think this is a mistake, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that he just wanted to get a super quick scanner, maybe, because he doesn't know how the Zerg is going to react. A lot of times when you try to cheese a player or do some kind of early aggression, they end up throwing their plan out the window and just trying to cheese you back. Usually a common rebuttal. So maybe he just wanted to get a quick scan going. And we see here he's actually going double scan. So I think that was part of his well thought out build here.
Well, he's definitely going to be able to get the vision that he needs when it comes to scouting. And it looks like we got ourselves a creep colony, and there's the Spire going down in the main.
DNH doing some badass play here with a double engineering bay. So maybe going for some kind of super 1-1 timing. That's pretty interesting. I haven't seen that. Not since 1998.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure how I feel about this. all this upgrades is he's just kind of throwing away his timing that he's making for himself. But at the same time, those double upgrades will be able to provide great use in the later aspect of the game.
I think if he doesn't take too much damage and macros properly, he can probably run over one of the bases, you know, once the timing hits. Because by that time, he should also probably have a tank or two.
Yeah.
You see Genji sending out a drone to the top right. I guess that's where he's going to expand. What do you think about expanding the top right? I noticed that it has a ramp, so that's probably ideal for lurkers. But he could have probably also done that at his third. What's your opinion about that?
Well, with this situation, this is perfectly fine because he's only got one ramp to deal with, the Terran player. And then once he gets like Defilers and Lings and Lurkers, he's going to be able to take a base with a double ramp as his close third shows. But yeah.
I just want to point out that I think Genji has some good meta mind game going on over here. He made it seem very standard muta play. He kind of tried to hide his den. Now his lurker aspect is pretty much done. A bunch of Hydras coming out, whereas DNH is throwing down some turrets. About 6 of them so far.
Yeah, that definitely is a useful mind game because all these turrets are pretty much useless if there's going to be no mutas out, especially in the main. Because even if lurkers get into the base, well, I guess there's 1, 2. Okay, there's a couple that if lurkers do get in the base, but he doesn't have enough army to really deal with the lurker push.
And I also like that he moved the Hydras out of his base and then morphed the lurkers like he's doing now at the left side of the map.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if he gets scanned, it won't look suspicious at all. And as you mentioned, this map is very good for contains due to the bridges and the ramps. So if DNH is not, you know, careful here, you can either get flanked or caught on the bridges. Hold lurker would probably be pretty interesting on this map.
That's my specialty. Oh no, but Genji's actually going to be moving his lurkers right in front of the Marine's face. All these, not all of them, but a good portion of these Marines do go down. And the element of surprise is now gone. And DNH is completely aware of what's happening. And in response, he's going to be trying to throw some bunkers out in the open to reduce the area that the lurkers can take over. Uh-oh, we got a hold position medic. Dead.
Well, at least he slowed down the push a little bit.
Yeah, and that's actually really good. I don't think that was his intention, but it definitely worked out into his favor. And right here, it's actually looking really bad. 2 lurkers going down, a third one to follow, maybe a fourth. Oh my god, all these lurkers, 5!
And I just want to point out that his 1-1 finished right before that attack happened on the bridge.
Oh my god.
So that actually worked out. We were talking about that earlier. It
Yeah.
actually worked out in his favor. 1-1 probably was the reason that attack went the way it did.
That fake was good, but losing all those lurkers is like, oh man. I feel so bad.
I would have liked for Zerg to have just kind of camped on the one end of that bridge and brought a couple lurkers down on the third.
Exactly.
And camped over there, and then just kind of macroed behind it, wait until Defiler was out. That would probably be a better play.
Oh, that would have been the proper play by far. Just put on a contain to be able to macro up and then tech up as well, and then push once you have the Defiler mound.
It looks like DNH is trying to take a third. At the same time, he's also throwing down 2 ports. So it looks like actually we might see some kind of standard SK Terran. He does have a strong army, good upgrades.
Double port.
And in all this time, Genji actually has not managed to really macro up at the top right. So he's kind of had
that's fine. I mean,
for a while.
Yeah, he threw away those lurkers. He threw away the lurkers, so he's trying to rebuild an army so he doesn't just get steamrolled. But here we do have a drone cycle popping out. Building Scourge is very crucial into this because one dropship will end the game if it does sneak in. He needs a Nidus though. I think that's what he's about to put in his natural.
He should have a Nidus. He should have had a Nidus for a while now. And like I said, he actually had that hatchery up for a while. It even amassed 3 larvae for a long time. He could have at least had, 3 on gas and maybe 3 or 4 in minerals this whole time. It would have allowed him to throw down another hatchery or 2, take another expansion, have a few. Could have helped.
The map is Overwatch. Okay, there we go. The barracks are now flashing. Looks like
Midas Canal.
Yeah, Terran's throwing down a 3rd, so we are going to be seeing staying in the game. And there's the Nidus Canal, the natural, so we will see the.
I think a little bit of a Zergling backstab here going on at DNH's 3rd.
That's actually coming. I don't know. This if he micros this right, he will be able to kill the army. And the Zerglings are going to try to get the surround, killing off 2 of the Marines, maybe the 3rd and 4th. But the SCVs are going to be able to clutter in the way. And some good micro coming out from DNH right there.
Yeah, SCV is OP, especially when you throw a medic or 2 in there.
Yep. I like how Genji seen his opportunity and went for it, but then DNH's quick response was able to negate the Zerglings, and now it looks like DNH is going to be at the natural of the Zerg player, but the Zerg has definitely got this well defended with a few lurkers and sunken colonies, so I would not suggest him push in. No, the lurkers lift at the worst possible time, and that just changed the entire pace of what's happening. And he just needs to leave those lurkers down. Okay, now DNH is getting a little overzealous. Did kill off a significant amount of units, though.
Consume is out now, so you should be able to push the tank back. But yeah, I mean, Genji definitely shouldn't have had those lurkers moving at that time. He needed to wait for Consume and some Zerglings to support, and then he could have. We see now Vulture's out for DH. I didn't really pay attention to see if he has mines or not. It looks like he does.
He does.
So we'll probably start seeing some mines planted around the map. Got a little bit of a lurker hit force going down to the 3rd, which is nice, but it had no supporting Zerglings.
Yeah, once again, well, no, we do have a Defiler and a few Lings coming down as well. At the same time, we do have another attack going straight to the natural of Genji. DNH really needs to do something to the top right expansion, but it is actually well secured, especially with that Spore Colony coming up. It's going to be able to deter the Science Vessels. One vessel goes down, and it seems like we do have a siege tank here. But it looks like DNH is not even going to wait for the siege tank to just kill off everything. He's just going to march his way in straight into the natural, and there comes a Dark Swarm from Genji to be able to reprod the Terran army.
And now Genji going for his counterattack the 3rd. DNH was smart enough to throw down full block. Here comes a Dark Swarm. Let's see how this will go.
Yeah, good stuff from Genji. This is a really strong thing to do. Terrans cannot attack under or burrowed lurkers under a Dark Swarm.
Needs to push a little further. Good, he threw down another Dark Swarm closer to the command center. He should be able to do a lot of damage here.
SCV pull just in time. Loses a lot. One of the lurkers has got about 14 kills, so efficiency is key right there.
I think so far this is going better for Genji than it is for DNH.
Yes.
Those Dark Swarms are really saving Genji at his natural, but at the same time, they're the same things that are giving him the advantage at H's 3rd. And now DNH has to lift his 3rd off, and it's completely new.
Yep, so
DNH going up to 2K, and I would like to see him either transition to mech or throw down, at least 3 to 5 barracks if he's going to continue escape. I also don't see his engineering bay upgrading. He has a 2-2, which is pretty good.
I do like the macro hatches coming in the main base for Genji, since there's really no other place for him to throw down these macro hatches.
I would have liked for Genji to have taken an expansion in this time.
Well, you got to think he's putting on a lot of aggression and dealing with aggression at the same time. So 3 bases. I mean, as long as the Zerg player is above 1 base for the Terran, he's in a pretty good spot. Usually you want to get that quick fourth though if you're going to be going for Ultralisks, but due to the fact that this map allows for a lot of chokes, Lurkerling Defiler is actually very useful, and I feel like would be the better build, or not build order, but unit composition than the Fat Ultras.
Genji pushing DNH further out of his natural, pretty much secured his path to his natural third. So he might be looking to expand there soon. And I see he's sending a drone out here, actually. I don't know if it's a mistake or he's
It's kind of interesting that DNH just got a factory floating for some reason. I'm not sure. We do have 4 science vessels coming out. What?
Factory is actually his third. So when the lurkers came, he lifted it too and he moved it, but I guess he's
okay, that makes sense. Some irradiates going down on the lurkers. 2 still remain at the third. And I do like the upgrades coming out from DNH. The Zerg player is operating off of 2 Evos and does have his Ultralisk Cavern thrown down, but he definitely needs to be working off 4 gas if he plans on producing Ultra, Defiler, Ling, Scourge with upgrades.
And actually at DNH's third, something interesting battle just happened where Genji sent 6 or 8 Scourge to try and pick off those vessels, and DNH saw them fly over one of his packs, so he moved his Marines there, picked them all off.
Nice.
And now he cleaned up those lurkers as well, so he should be retaking his third any minute. And let's see if Genji's going to try. Oh, Genji's trying to attack units at his front. The Ultras are out now. Yeah, Ultras are definitely OP.
Well, Irradiate's going down. That is not helping his Marine army as of right now. And this is looking like it's going to be an uphill battle for DNH, pretty much.
I agree, but having said that, DNH is still a little bit ahead in supply, although he did mine out of his natural.
Yeah, and he does have just a lot of idle SCVs hanging around, and his third is not dropped down yet.
I think he just noticed that. Probably going to take.
Yeah, this unit composition coming out from Genji is really strong.
I don't see any defilers with the. It's one thing that I see that he's missing.
Yeah, so what that means is just like all the Lings are pretty much going to melt, and oh god, it looks like the Ultras too. But he does have the economy to pretty much rebuild. Oh, Scourge are going to be able to kill the vessels. Really good pick off from Genji.
He had just to the left some more Scourge he should have sent. Now it's a little too late. He did clean up a lot of that army.
Yep, the upgrades are 2-1, and the fourth is going to be taken at the 12 o'clock position.
Even though this doesn't look like the best position for DNH, he's almost at 3-3 upgrades. He has mines on the map, and he does have another command center float as natural. Probably going to have all those SCVs transferred forth soon. And having said that, I think Genji should have a few more hatcheries. Probably he could have had almost half of them at this point. And start throwing down another expansion or 2 and really being a little bit more aggressive, because mid to late game Terran army is really strong. But let's see how it works out.
The Irradiates are really showing their OP-ness. Can't think of another way to describe it, but a couple vessels going down in the process. Genji doing a really good job by keeping the vessel count to a minimum, but losing some defilers in the meantime. Huge SCV transfer to the third.
I just want to note that this is one of the few TVZs that I haven't seen drops from either player yet.
Yeah.
Usually that's a staple of TVZ. I think both players can benefit from some more drops.
Ooh, that's some really clutch micro right there coming out from DNH at the left side of the map, above his third.
Very good control, and I like the fact that he's throwing down some random turrets in the map as well. Good scouting, possibly can pick off overlords if they're drops. Pretty smart play. Moving up now to try and secure his fourth at the clock position. I see him setting some probably late. still has that command center floating at his.
So it looks like Genji actually double expanded by taking the 12 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position on Overwatch. So really clutch play. He knows that he has complete map control right now. He knows that the DNH is starving. So he's going to allow the Terran to take a third while he's just going to take a fourth and fifth behind it.
And I'm surprised that he doesn't have Ultralisk speed at this point.
I think he might have forgot.
Researching.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we can't see what he's researching, unless he's not at all.
No, you can't. You can't. He's just not at all.
Oh. Well,
if you click the evolution chamber, you'll see the upgrade.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I do like his upgrades. He is at 2-2 for the Zergling, but I think that Ultralisk speed is an important aspect, especially if you're going to be flying around the map, attacking and harassing. I think that was a big mistake on Genji's part. I would have liked to have seen him done a drop or two at this point as well, especially at that third for each.
Yeah, drops would have definitely been beneficial.
I don't see any more defilers with the army. I think for some strange reason they stopped making. I'm not sure why. Meanwhile, he's had to be at the top right probably the entire game now.
Oh my god, the Irradiate's just completely melting all the Zerglings that were protecting the Ultra Lurker. So pretty much all the heavy gas units are going to be irradiated, and the Marine Fire Bat Medic Army from DNH is just going to be able to steamroll and more than likely take out one of these bases.
So definitely note to Genji a little bit more Scourge, and definitely need to add some fighters back to that army mix. And then you could have probably killed DNH's third.
Oh, the mass irradiate, the 4 lurkers protecting the top right-hand corner is going to go down, and Defiler's throwing down some emergency swarms. Ooh, gets a plague on 2 of the vessels, so that's actually a nice win right there.
Plague on 2 of the vessels was definitely a good move. He ended up losing every single lurker and the 2 or 3 defilers that he had as well. So now that base is looking very weak. He does still have a canal.
DNH does need to expand and push. He's bought himself an opportunity that he is not seizing at this moment. He could definitely take out the 9 o'clock position and or the top right hand corner due to the fact that there's currently no more lurkers. But it looks like he's going to slowly take the 3 o'clock position. A couple Zerglings doing a little bit of damage to the SCVs, but does not look like they're... Oh, okay. It does kill one.
Yeah, some vultures. Now the vessels are moving out middle of the map. Nice radiates going down. 2 of the ultras.
Ultras still don't have speed yet. Alright, now a little bit of an engagement going down at the bottom left hand corner. It seems like he was able to kill off the hatchery that was built there. Oh, some Scourge.
See if the Marines are going to react. Stim.
So a couple vessels go down. That's unfortunate for DNH.
DNH's money is actually skyrocketing now.
Yeah.
It looks like the game is swinging back a little bit in his favor. I would say that at the 3 o'clock base, though, those SCVs, after they killed those Zerglings, they've been idle for a while, so they haven't been mined.
Yeah.
He should probably transfer some SCVs from his third, where he has about 400.
I find it humorous that he keeps sending these little Marine hit squads, but is neglecting to bring medics with him. 1 to 2 medics would completely change like the power of the army.
Yeah, he definitely needs a few more barracks as well. He's floating now to over 2,000 minerals. Probably afford at least 4 or 6 more barracks, or you can transition.
Hey, shot.
Acceptable. Now we have Genji sending the Zergling hit squad to the 3 o'clock position, getting a nice amount of SCV kill.
So in this like phase of the game, it comes down to a lot of thinking because it's pretty much like a freestyle match.
Sorry, look at the 9 o'clock base. DNH with a counter.
Oh yeah, no, I've been watching that. But it does look like Genji's going to be able to clean this up.
You were saying at this point in the game, sorry.
Oh yeah, so at this point of the game, it's pretty much like a freestyle in regards to like what should you do. There's nothing like set in stone. It's basically you got to react accordingly to what the opponent's doing. And as you can tell, like the macro cycles, this is like where the phase of the game where like things start to get sloppy. But it's due to the fact that half of the players are doing are just trying to think like, what should I do? Like, what's going to work? And yeah. That's usually my favorite part of the game to be in.
And at this point, Genji has good idea attacking 3 o'clock base. I would have liked to have seen the rest of his army. He has a bunch of ultralisks that is natural. Counter and go DNH's third. Since the fourth is now lifted. Instead opting to continue to send units fourth. You're streamlining. DNH's army is looking a little bit on the smaller end of the scale now.
Yeah, but if he utilizes the spider mines and the chokes to his advantage while massing these irradiates, he should be in a decent position because killing off these ultras and lings just with a few irradiates is like godly cost effective. So, oh. Speaking of the devil, the mines showing their efficiency, and DNH dropping his factory at the bottom left-hand corner for some reason.
He's trying to expand there.
Oh yeah, he is. Okay, good point.
Some Zerglings managed to get into the DNH. I would have liked to have seen Genji attack the third much earlier, especially when he had the fourth lifted. Now DNH is fortified. A whole bunch of Marine.
Yeah, pushing up this would be really difficult for the Zerg player to do. And looks like we tried, the Zerg player did try to do like a multi-prong attack, but unfortunately DNH, who's been playing pretty passive for the most part, was able to send units to each location to defend accordingly.
And now with DNH's third pretty much mined out and his fourth lifted, fifth command center just flying at the bottom left, he's actually running low on mineral.
Yes, so this is going to be a interesting point in the game because now DNH is not going to be able to turtle up due to the fact of what the map has to offer when it comes to pathing and everything. So this might be Genji's opportunity to catch DNH with his pants down and get a good army kill.
Thinking there's probably at some point going to battle at the bottom left map for that mention there.
Well, the Zerglings at the 3 o'clock do see that the command center has dropped, but there's going to be a Marines, fire bats, and medics going to be able to clear it out. A couple Scourge are just hanging out. Might kill off the vessels. If they kill off the vessels, that'd be great, but nope. Do not move. The Zerglings at the 3 o'clock have been cleaned up, and it looks like Genji's going to be gathering up his army about in the middle of the map, and we might be able to see something interesting from here on out.
And at least he has some defilers in his army, which I like.
Yes.
I would have liked to have seen... Oh, and Scourge. Wow. Finally. So I think this battle should go pretty good for him, but I see some fire bats, I see some science vessels with at least 3 irradiates, so pushing up this ramp might not be good, especially with the lings going in one by one.
Oh no!
Oh, but coming in from the bottom. Good Scourge.
Yeah, no, with these defilers, once the Dark Swarm's down, this is just pretty much going to be
he managed
rest
to
in
pick
peace.
off Ultralisk before the Sandstorm went down.
Sandstorm, nice. And wow, the fire bats are actually really showing their use and are able to attack under the Dark Swarm, and they're going to be able to clean up all the Zerglings and defilers. So really good stuff coming up from DNH by throwing in a couple of fire bats into his unit composition.
And especially with one of the Marines, I think it had a D-Matrix on it. That probably absorbed a lot of the lurker shots. There's a big army of pure science vessels coming in at the bottom left of the map. I'm assuming there might be an eraser coming in.
Oh, but the Scourge! They're going to connect!
Good reaction time by DNH. Losing 3 vessels.
Woo! 2. All right, so if the game continues to progress like this, the Terran player will actually win.
I think so as well. Oh, and at 9 o'clock we have some radiates going down.
Oh no, the vessels. I like how he's irradiating the drones. It's pretty cute. So, and the reason why I say that this is going to go into the Terran's favor is the fact that he's just being way too cost effective with his vessels. One of them having 12 kills just right on the first click, and just killing off so many units and just playing defensive, making it so that every time the Zerg player attacks, it's in an unfavorable position.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Zerg should have had a little bit more Scourge and a little bit more Defilers. And like I mentioned, I would have liked to have seen him expand a little bit more aggressively. Making a good run here at the natural with these Ultralisks, just to show how OP they are. Even with 5% of their health, they ended up taking out a whole block of units.
Yep.
Imagine if he had a Defiler there and maybe 20 more Zerglings. He could have probably taken out the natural and went. Throwing away some Zerglings here at the 4th. Without a Defiler, that's not going to do much. He should probably have taken that mineral-only expansion towards the top of the map.
Yeah.
Where actually DNH just scanned. DNH probably figures that he's ahead of the point. He's still continuing at SK Terran.
Yep.
3,000 gas and 2,000.
Yeah,
Maxed.
His macro isn't the greatest, especially working off a 6 barracks infrastructure. It does take a little bit to take down those minerals. But the double starport is always pretty key. I mean, sometimes Terrans will go for a 3rd, but he seems to be doing just fine with the 2.
He ended up losing at a Filer at clock base without throwing down 288. Usually right before your Defiler dies, you should just throw a Dark Swarm down anyway. Tactic, you'll see a lot of Zerg.
Right, another engagement. Oh, the Scourge are going to be able to connect straight onto the vessels. That's a really nice pickup. And a Dark Swarm going on top of the Marines, making them run back. These Ultras are going to be able to more than likely clean up the rest of these Marines.
This engagement went a lot better for Genji. This is how
yes.
engagement should have went, ideally. But now he's overextending a little bit. But Ultras do work. They are OP. So he's probably going to pick off almost all of them. At this point, get about 80 supply down. Pretty much on 1.5 mining bases. Oh, but he's getting some good headway here at the bottom left. DNH's army is racing back to save it, so let's just see how much damage he could do. Probably a Dark Swarm or a Lurker or 2 would help, but...
Oh yeah, but the Scourge are actually going to be able to clean up a good amount of these vessels. Reducing the vessel count is basically like key for the Zerg player right now. By doing that, it does buy him a little bit more leverage. And whoa, it's a SCV slaughterhouse right now. Cracklings really showing their their use. Oh my god.
Wow, it's like a massacre.
This is terrible. Oh my god, these Zerglings just... Oh my god, I wish my Lings do that on the daily. Oh. So, I don't know, this game's been really back and forth.
This has been actually a very good game, very good. Genji making it interesting at this point. Another thing he could have done is, exactly as I was saying it, I was going to say he could have transferred units to the top right, attack the 4th.
And that's exactly what's happening.
I think he should wait until he gets the Defiler and throw down the Dark Swarm first.
Yeah, Dark Swarm then Plague to really deal with those Fire Bats, because those Fire Bats are in a great spot. But here, the Dark Swarm does go down. Prime irradiates, but huge Plague on the Signs Vessels.
Lego.
But... just goes to show the positioning of a Terran army can do so much damage.
One thing that went wrong for him there was that the Defiler went first, that threw down a Dark Swarm, and then immediately got irradiated. and then it stayed on the ramp as all the Zerglings passed by, and it pretty much killed them off with your 88. So that did not work out well for the Zerg at all. You see some spider mines hitting some large groups of ultras and wings. Genji's just trying to buy some time at this point to amass a decent army. But DNH being smart, he's not really heavily on the map, not really being too aggressive. Just kind of...
He's not being aggressive at all.
just playing defensive. He knows he's ahead, so he doesn't really need anything at this point until he kind of maxes out, which is pretty much where he is now. And here he goes, he's moving out. So I'm assuming he's probably going to hit the 9 o'clock base or the natural. So let's see where that is.
I mean, coming from a Zerg's perspective, it is really difficult to deal with a Turtle Terran because it's just it's really hard to break it. And I mean, once you watch the replay, everything becomes more obvious. But you know, when you're in the game, there's so many things running through your head. But when it comes to these situations, always try to do, like, if you keep attacking the expansions and they keep failing, you know that he's got them well defended. Try to go for some drops in the main. You know, try attacking in spots that you haven't tried yet. Or at least sending a Zergling or something to see where you can find a chink in the Terran's armor. And
now Genji's actually made some headway at the 4th, but he still has a large group of 2 Ultralisks and maybe a group of Zerglings right outside of there, idled. I don't think he's noticed that yet. If he sent those in, he could have definitely killed that expansion.
Cracklings. I just love the sound of them attacking. Yep, so this 4th, or at least the 3 o'clock position for the Terran is going to be delayed. CC does lift up, but a lot of Irradiate's going down, killing off a good amount of units. And oh no, it looks like a couple Marines are just going to be sacrificed to the Zerg army.
Genji has a decent army now. Again, he still forgot about, in between the Terran's 4th and Genji's top right, there's a group of Zerglings and Ultras. Oh, now he just moved in. If he gathers all these units and attacks the Terran's natural right now, he could do some damage. Especially if he sends 1 or 2 Zerglings and drag them out. But having said that, he's just standing there and getting radiated. Probably going to end up losing the majority of this army.
What team's Genji on again?
Genji is on Genji's on Assimulator.
Okay.
DNH is on Magical Ponies. Zerg getting pretty procured. Okay. He should have taken that mineral only. I see he has an Ultralisk there. Could have had it mined for a really long time, but instead he's opting to expand the Terran's 4th right under the Terran's flying CC. This is probably the most in-your-face play to do. I like it. Too bad he didn't send any units to defend him.
Yeah, unfortunately. So it looks like this base is going to be either killed or canceled.
Nice amount of science vessels going down. But here we go at 9 o'clock in Irradiate, and all the drones are clumped. Ouch.
Oh, man. And the base at the 3 o'clock is actually going to be... Oh, he killed it? Or was that a cancel? I think he killed it.
No, he killed it.
Oh, man. That's huge. At this stage of the game, that's really big.
Yeah, especially with 1,000 minerals left. I see a large amount of Zerglings at the top right coming out of Nidus. So I'm assuming he's going to make one run at the Terran's 4th. Now that Ultralisk just cleared up that mine, now it might work. Oh, up some mines.
Oh, mines.
He's going to end up trying to hit the bottom left, but there's a larger minefield over there.
Yeah. A really interesting game of Minesweeper going down, but I think we actually have some drops being finally upgraded. But the vessels going to do so much damage. They don't even care that there's a spore.
I'm sorry, guys. You guys were about to see the most epic 41-minute drop in the history of ZBT, but
yeah,
Fortunately, the vessel showed up and pooped on the party.
Yeah. Which is strange because this isn't diarrhea Terran.
Well, DNH's Terran is also the shit somehow. In case you guys don't know, DNH is one of the better Terrans in the league. I think probably him and Dark Matter are the best Terrans in the league. Especially that Phasix is not really activating. I think at this point, pretty much just waiting for Genji to GG here. Maybe make one final run at the bottom left. Large group of ultras and lings, but I think with the mines and all those vessels, 400 vessels that he has. Oh, here comes the Scourge. Nice. Too little, too late, I think.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that should probably be.
Well, Genji just leaves the game without even a GG. So, good stuff coming out from both players. Like someone said in the chat, the early game, they did fairly well, but it's just the late game where it's just, there's only so much you can do. You get tired. It's 40 minutes of you just constantly, beating up your keyboard.
Yeah, trying to be on your A game.
Yeah, while also trying to be able to read your opponent and assess what you're going to be doing at the same time. So, I mean, that's when the game just it gets really taxing, and just people get tired, and it's just the way it is. And from the looks of it, the Terran was basically saying, I don't feel comfortable attacking you, so I'm just going to let you attack me. And that's pretty much how the game went out.
I think DNH had a pretty good early game where he went for that weird 1-1 timing, which worked out well in his favor. I think after that he fell a little bit behind and then just realized he had to play very defensive. And I think Genji had very good macro. In the beginning, at least, he had a lot of good units, a lot of good position. He fought pretty good. But then after a while, he just stopped making Scourge. He stopped making Filers. He was just sending piecemeal groups of Zerglings. Maybe, I don't really know what he was thinking. Maybe he was a little bit cocky in a way. Maybe he thought he was ahead. He had it. Maybe he just forgot about it. Maybe he was under a lot of pressure. And I also would have liked to have seen drops coming out from both players, actually. DNH could have dropped on the top right or the main, and a lot of damage. Genji could have dropped on the fourth, even earlier on the third, and probably killed off some bases or even went into the main. I think that could have changed the fortune of the game. But having said that, I think overall it was actually a pretty good game.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
It was fine.
It was very back and forth. I'd like to see a show match between these guys in the future. I think that was pretty good. And I just like TVZ in general. It would have been interesting to have seen them play on a different map or in a series.
Same game name. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Well, it's just it's difficult. It's one of the hardest matchups in the game, and the later it gets into, man, it's really it's stressful. Trust me, I've played a 2-hour game, or actually not 2 hours, just like an hour game, and that's just, oh my god. And then especially losing after that hour game, you just feel so defeated.
Yeah, that's actually one of the worst feelings, but at the same time, I do enjoy the close games a lot more than the lopsided one.
Oh yeah.
So that was really back and forth. There was some moments there where I thought Genji definitely had it in the bag. There was other moments where I thought DNH did. That's always the mark of a good game, even though it usually is contributed to by players both playing well at times and also not playing well. I think that's what makes Broodor so beautiful. So.
Yeah, definitely. And maps definitely have a big impact on that. All right, so let's start up the fourth game. Yep, the fourth game. And it will be on Fighting Spirit.
My favorite map.
Oh, God. All right, hold on. Before I switch it over, what is the score?
I think this might be the fourth or the fifth game. I have no
idea.
idea.
But Magic Ponies.
I think Magic Ponies won one game.
All right. Alright, so, spawning on the top right-hand corner of Fighting Spirit, as the Blue Terran, we have Neon Sword.
And spawning at the bottom left as the orange Protoss, we have Hardtail, also known as Hafnium. I believe Hardtail is from Team Assimilate, and Neon Sword is from Team Magical Ponies. From the chat, it looks like there's some lag. They're asking about high latency and things of that nature. And sometimes that can actually factor into the game. Some people might say, I had a very micro, heavy-oriented build that I'm just going to throw out the window and either cheese or play defensive. So let's see how that goes. Neon Sword looks like he's going for an old school kind of block. Most people don't block in TVP anymore. They usually just make a little SimCity, which rely on their micro. But again, maybe the lag had something to do with that. Maybe he wasn't confident in his...
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be a possibility. What? Oh, crap. Alright. I thought D&D worked for people joining games and whatnot, too. But, yep, so we got ourselves a pretty standard build, other than just the placement of the Terran. We are going to be seeing the barracks refinery, so we are going to be seeing a quick factory. Now, if he's going to do a quick fact and to expand or a double fact, I have no idea, but you will find out momentarily. And coming up from the Protoss player, we pretty much got the standard gateway assimilator, Cybo, so more than likely it's going to be 1 gate Dragoon range to apply a little bit of pressure.
But one thing that's of note here is that actually Hardtail, Hafnium, he ended up scouting across the map, cross position, and that worked out in his favor as he scouted the Terran first. And Neon Sword probably thinks he's at the top left, which is where he's scouting to now. So I think that in terms of information, that's going to put Half a little bit ahead. So let's see how that works out in his favor. He's standard, not making a Zealot, so he's probably just going to rush to Dragoon and range. More standard way to play. I think that's a smart idea, especially on the cross position. And especially versus a player who's doing a block. The Zealot is not going to be able to do much damage. Its only use would be to block a scouting SCV, which would lead the opponent kind of cheese of some sort.
So, Neon Sword is actually going to be going for the One Factory Expo by pulling off 2 of his SCVs from gas to be able to get a little bit more minerals faster. So we are going to be seeing Neon Sword going in for more of the macro portion of the game.
And ended up picking up the SCV, which didn't really get a chance to do much scouting.
Nope. And the command center being thrown down in the main, factory being left. I think that was just a misclick. Yep, okay, the machine shop now just going down.
Looks to me like he might be doing some kind of siege expand, which I haven't seen in a few years. I actually like the build. Executed properly, I think it's pretty old school, pretty safe. So in that case, I think the wall was a good idea. That Protoss is probably going to try to expand now. Interesting to see if he tries to do a double expand off 1 gateway, which I actually wouldn't be opposed to in a cross position game, especially versus siege expand, or if he tries to throw down an Nexus and then throw up some gateways and.
Yeah, because I would say the current meta now is usually a double factory push. A lot of Terrans have been utilizing the Marine and Siege Tank power in the early portion of the game to deny the Protoss as natural if possible, which has been forcing Protosses to kind of open with a double gate Dragoon to be able to deal with the aggression. So kind of seeing these players do more of an old school build is really cool and just refreshing to see.
And one note for Hafnium, I don't know if you're going to go Reaver or just a robotics for observatory, but in this position, since you see that he's making center, and he has siege mode, and he didn't make that many Marines that he blocked, he's probably just going siege expand. At that point, you don't need a robotics facility to get observers so quick, and you could have probably gotten away with a dupe expand off gateway. Even if you tried a 4-fact push, your economy probably would have been heavy enough to be able to hold that. Just a tip. It's not a rule set in stone. That's just how I would have done.
All right, so we got the transfer going down. Yeah, you do bring up a good point, though, due to the fact that Neon Sword did opt to go for a Siege Tank expand. Does mean that he is going to do the bare minimum for tech, and that's just Siege Tank and the Siege, like the upgrade and the Siege Tank itself. So with that being said, there is no scare or threat of a vulture and a spider mine push. So by delaying the robotics facility just a little bit, you could get the expansions down a little bit faster, and then of course following it up with the observatory. But it's just one of those things where it's just trial and error.
And I see here that Neon Sword, he got a quick second gas in the armory. So this to me means one of two things. Either he's going to try and go for a flash style where he's going to get 2 factory tank production and maybe third, or it could mean that he's trying to 2 factories continuously pump tanks while getting an upgrade and adding a bunch of factories for a +1 timing attack. Probably going to lean with he's going to try and expand, but let's see how that works.
Yep, so the third coming up, it just seems like Hardtail was just being, safe and sorry.
Yeah, there's
nothing wrong with that.
Just to clarify, there's nothing wrong with the way he did it. That's probably the traditional way.
Yep.
I would just, saying one way you could maybe a little bit more.
Of course, when you scout out the opponent, there's certain shortcuts you could do to really get that, slight advantage. But there's nothing wrong with just going standard.
Also, am I bugging out, or is the command center at the natural just a drop off in terms of position? Could be wrong. Maybe it's just looking weird to me.
Not sure.
And having said that, a third command center going bottom right on Sword's base.
Yep, so we are going to be seeing a quick third coming out from the Terran player, just the double factory type play style. And Citadel being dropped at the 9 o'clock position for the Protoss, so more than likely we are going to be seeing the Arbiter transition momentarily.
Yeah, there's a starport going down in his main towards the top. Stargate, sorry.
I do that all the time. But there is a starport being down. Oh, really? Nice. Looks like we got an academy, so we are going to be seeing the comsat stations momentarily.
The starport is probably being added at a good time here. Usually when you want to go for 2-1 timing, when the armory +1 is about halfway done, you want to start making your starport. The science place afterwards, and then the second armory. Pretty much you'll have the timing for 2-1. I wouldn't mind seeing him make a dropship. It's always a good way to harass and put yourself ahead, especially since you've kind of skimped harassment and just in the beginning of this, build. But I don't really like the positioning of the starport. It's kind of right in the middle. I would have liked to put some factories there. See how that works.
Alright, so it looks like Neon Sword is bringing a couple siege tanks to the third. Usually some Terrans would prefer to build up a couple supply depots and stuff just to make sure that no zealots can run up the ramp and just kill off the siege tanks. But the observer does see the fact that there is a command center over there and a couple siege tanks, so we are going to be seeing some movement coming up from the Dragoons. Not sure if he's going to be going for the attack or if he's just going to set up to expand at the 6 o'clock. But only time will tell. And little mistake, Neon Sword forgetting to drop his CC before the SCVs get there. We got a Corsair. That's fun.
Why?
No idea. Maybe just for scouting purposes.
It was either
a second Corsair.
Oh, well, he is making a fleet beacon, so that could mean one of two things. He might be transitioning carriers, or he could do something cute, especially now that I see he has a high Dragoon count, where he might end up going D-Web Dragoon.
If he goes yeah. I was going to say, like, it does sound viable, but it sounds very gimmicky.
It's very viable against tank heavy, because once the tank siege, pretty much you just throw a D-Web on top, and then the Dragoons just cut them up.
You just hope that the Terran player just clumps his units together.
Kind of like he is now at his natural and at his third.
What?
If he had a D-Web and full Dragoons, he could have probably taken out the entire natural.
Why do you keep looking at
All right, so we do have a double. Woo! We have a quad factory drop coming down from Neon Sword, and so his infrastructure is going to be blowing up momentarily.
So far, I'm pretty happy with the overall macro and in a build of Neon Sword. It seems like he has a decent grasp of it. His upgrades look like they're pretty much on time. He transitioned to 6 factories. Now he's at getting both Ultra upgrades. I'd like to see him continue boat production. Maybe add on 2 factories. But other than that, it seems like he's doing pretty good. Protoss also playing pretty well. Probably needs a few more gateways, and especially, yeah, I do see him. He's not researching D-Web, but he's making another Corsair. So I'm thinking it's a D-Web play, but he didn't research D-Web yet.
All right, so we got a couple of Zealots being lifted up into the shuttle, so we might actually be seeing a little bit of aggression come down at the 3 o'clock. I really like that play. The shuttle might not live due to the turret, but the Zealots will definitely be able to clean up the siege tanks, no problem.
Good angle from Hafnium, the Bulldog here, Zealot bomb. And pretty much cleaning up all the tanks. There are no vultures, actually. Oh, now there's a couple of them. Very slow to react. I think that turret was out of position. I would have liked to have seen it closer to the edge. But having said that, it looks like Hafnium is going to end up breaking up. The Zealots are actually holding up the tanks down the ramp. So that's going to buy time for the Dragoon to walk in here. Kind of waltz in. Damage than they should have. Other Dragoons with the high ground advantage probably going to go to work here, especially with the Zealots. Leg speed, good timing on that. Big surrounds. Some clutter at the bottom of the ramp, though. Could have probably targeted down the command center in that time.
Oh my God, the web. The D-Web was built, so yeah, good call on that. I've never actually seen this playstyle before.
And the Corsairs doing work. I wish one of them would have gotten kill count for that command. One of the damn Dragoons stole it, but they did work on that command center when it lifted. The Neon Sword is in big trouble here. His third went down. He just had pure tanks for some reason. He needed a lot more vultures a lot quicker. He needed to be out on the map scouting, planting mines, denying expos. He needed to be planting mines to slow down the army of the Protoss.
Yeah, because if he had mines at the 3 o'clock, he would have been able to deal with that accordingly. Siege tanks are strong, but it comes to a point where if you need to balance them out between siege and vulture. You know, this was a perfect case of he made too many sieges and not enough vulture.
Yeah, usually
not an easy thing to do.
Usually what you want to do is you want to produce tanks 1 at a time, and vultures 2 at a time. The vultures, 2 of them produce around the same time they tank. So a lot of players, what they'll do is they just get in the habit of just making it each. What ends up happening is the tank keeps producing, but your other factory that's making vultures is idle after 1. So that's why I get in the habit of doing every 1 tank to every 2 vultures in terms of production. Every factory should either be making 1 tank or 2 vultures.
All right, looks like we got a little bit of army movement coming up from Hardtail, and is going to catch a little bit of flack by getting a little too close to the siege tank line. Really interesting, and just how he built this turret wall. I find it kind of cool. I've never really seen someone so adamant about building turrets. It's like he's expecting an arbiter to fly over his siege tanks in like a matter of seconds.
He obviously did that for the Corsair, so they can't come in, but Corsairs
that's a good point
beefy. They can probably still come in and throw down D-Web. I would have preferred for him to have made a couple of Goliaths instead. Gotten Goliath range. I think at least that's part of your mobile army. To help versus arbiters or carriers down the road as well.
All right.
He invested it into a turret ring which can't move.
So we do have a good amount of Dragoons pushing out right now, going to be able to clear up all the spider mines and kill off some of the siege tanks, but are actually going to be able to completely walk past the siege tanks on the lower ground, throw some distributor webs over the siege tanks in the 12 o'clock, and looks like he's going to be able to get in here and pretty much clean everything up.
Very good D-web play here from Half. Probably can target that center. Any Corsairs are going to target it down. They're so good against there. And I just have to point out in this whole entire time, the thing that I've probably been the most impressed with is Hafnium's macro. His money is currently below 600 minerals. He has a lot of gateways in his main. He's adding some more Stargates. He's getting Arbiter Tribunal. He's expanded to the 6 o'clock. He's expanded to the bottom right and adding more gateways there. He's doing all the things he needs to do, and now he's even trying to expand to the top left. Very, very good. This part, overall good strategy. Now Vulture's doing work.
Yeah, Vultures were able to get into the 9 o'clock position of the Protoss, made the Protoss pull his entire mineral line. A couple of the Vultures were able to get some probe kills, but he was able to clean it up in the end.
On a side note, I'd like to point out at the Hafnium's third, that wall apparently is not only not tight, Dragoon can fit in.
Yeah.
That's crazy, I didn't know.
All right, so the Terran player is definitely in a really, really tough spot, but due to the fact of the power of the siege tank, he could possibly still get back into this, but in the end, once the Arbiters are out with the recall and stuff, it's pretty much going to be game from that point on.
I just want to point out, he just finished 3-2. A Terran army that's 3-2 is very OP. So if anyone can get back into probably that, I think he just has to slow crawl his way to expansion, which he's trying to do at 12 o'clock. Again, I would have liked to have seen him made a dropship. I think some drop harass would have been very good, especially since he's not really using his vultures to move out on the map and harass. But having said that, here we go. We have a big battle coming down. A nice D-web. This is probably going to be all she wrote over here.
I like how he's running the Zealots through, hoping that he could get a spider mine drag, but there's no spider mines there to be able to help him out with it, so it kind of actually hindered him.
Actually worked in Neon Sword's favor, not
yeah.
Proper mine coverage.
So once again, the Neon Sword really showing or displaying the sheer power of split siege tanks. So he's going to be able to stay in the game just a little bit longer, but due to the fact of the sheer economy advantage that Hardtail has, he's just going to be able to reproduce an army at the flick of the wrist and basically push again.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much just going to starve him to death.
Yep.
We see Neon Swords almost mined out as naturally as one patch left with 20 minerals. So he's pretty much down to his main. He's trying to set up the 12 o'clock, but the observer to scout it, that'll pretty much shut it down once he gathers his army and sends it over.
Alright, looks like Hardtail's going to be setting up another engagement at the 12 o'clock. There is nothing here to really deal with this. A couple Vultures and Goliaths, but that is not going to do pretty much nothing to the Zealot army.
Ooh, and that Mind Drag killed a lot of SCVs on the way in.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, this 12 o'clock is going to fall.
Especially with Corsairs there, you can't really even lift the command center, even though you have to. Because that just means it's going to die either way.
Yep, and we finally got an Arbiter in the mix.
The 21-minute Arbiter. At the bottom right, at the mid base Neon Sword trying to take that expansion. But again, just a handful of tanks with no vulture support, with no turrets, is not really going to do well against a D-Web heavy play.
Yep. So the Protoss, basically, he knows his position in the game. His macro's actually been pretty well. He's always kept his minerals down relatively low. A couple of the gateways are double stacked, but that's just stuff that happens when you get this far in the game.
Especially since he's maxed.
Yep. He's constantly juggling by expanding, attacking, and just overall just building more units. But huge stasis going down in the group of siege tanks at the 3 o'clock, and this is pretty much going to be all she wrote.
Finally, some vulture rest.
And the GG goes down, and Hardtail takes the game.
That pretty much means that congratulations to the Team Team Simulate, for taking that down. Well played. Congratulations to you guys. You're moving on. You're going to be playing Dragon Herb next week. Also, shout out to Team Magical Ponies. You guys did get this far. So, big shout out on that. You guys put up a good fight. I think a lot of the games could have went either way. They were pretty close, pretty entertaining.
There is one more game.
Oh, okay, cool. Did not know that, actually.
Same game name.
I think either way they won, though. This is at least for moral pride. And circuit breaker, okay.
All right, so let the countdown begin.
Here we go. Final game on circuit breaker. And just a real quick note, for Hafnium, he pretty much played that as well as you could. Great strategy, pin play. And for Neon Sword, I think you should have just, well, should we introduce these players first and then?
All right, so spawning in the top right-hand corner as the yellow Terran, we have Snowfruit.
And at the top left, we have the Zerg 013 Tyrant. He does have an AKA, I just can't remember what it is. If somebody in the chat wants to shout that out.
Yeah, I'm tired of mispronouncing names. My brain's going to mush, man. So much casting and stuff. It's just like I can't even think straight. But yeah, I was just like, I seen the name and I was like, yeah, screw that. I'm going with the easy one. I'm sorry, I dicked you over, but it's the way it goes.
It's all good. It's all good.
But okay, so we got ourselves a ZVT. So this is going to be relatively interesting because this is one of my favorite maps.
And actually, interesting note, Snowfruit is a Zerg player. He just doesn't play ZV. So he's kind of a TVZ specialist, and being a Zerg player himself, he probably knows nuances of the matchup. So I would expect him to be better versed in this matchup, but let's see how it plays.
80's mullet. Everything's straight until it gets wet. Anyways, yeah, so also big shout out. Hey, what's up? I see what you did there. Thanks for tuning in, man. But so, coming up from the Zerg player, we are going to be seeing the 12 hatch, so pretty much standard stuff coming up from both players. The Terran building his barracks close to his command center. I really like when Terrans do that because sometimes, man, so many games have I lost an Overlord because I'm like, oh, they're not here, and then my Overlord gets too far in their main, and then out comes a Marine and snipes the Overlord, and I go in my truck and cry.
Yeah, I mean, I think Overlord scouting patterns is one of the things that when you become a player, it's one of the main things to focus on. Losing an Overlord against a high-level player is one of the quickest way to put yourself in a hole you can't.
Yep, and so with this being said to any of the Zerg players, when you spawn in Circuit Breaker, only in this map, actually, I think there's a couple other maps that are pretty much the same like Circuit Breaker. But you want to be, if you spawn on the left side or the right side, you scout north or south, depending where you spawn, as opposed to like Fighting Spirit, where you're supposed to scout clockwise. Because the point is, you want to get your Overlord to the opponent's natural, so you can see their army movement and everything as soon as possible. Because one, you can either see if they're dropping their command center to see their location if you haven't scouted out with the Overlord or the drone, or like I said, later in the game when you see their marine movement.
Looks like we have a pretty standard game so far. I like the fact that the Snow Fruit is making a command center before even making a. So he's getting to it right away. So he's going to try and catch up to the Zerg economy. And for his part, Tyrant didn't make any Zerglings. Now he's making 2, just to probably chase that SCV away. So both players being a little bit greedy, which I like. So that means probably gonna have a.
So I think what Tyrant did was he threw down his gas at the 13 supply. So he did a 12 hatch, 11 pool, 13 hatch. The macro is the 13 hatch into either a 12 gas or a 13 gas. So what that means is he's not going to have that many drones, like 1 or 2 drones less on the mineral lines, but he will be able to get the layer out faster, thus faster attack into Muta or Lurker, whatever he chooses. But from looks like Snowfruit will be going for a 2 Rax Academy. So once again, we are going to be able to see a Terran go for that pre-Muta timing, possibly with 2 medics and what it's about like 8 Marines, and it just completely devastates anything less than 3 Sunkens.
Cute play here by the Zerg player to make the layer at his natural, but it was scouted by Snowfruit. So he's gonna know that it's pretty standard. Prefer mutas or lurkers on this map in this page?
Oh, I prefer lurkers now. I just do lurkers. Lurkers are fun. Mutas are hard. It's just I don't know. I mean, against this playstyle, mutas are fine. It's just versus a +1 5 Rex or 4 Rex, it's really difficult to deal with it accordingly.
And pretty good spire placement. I think the SCV didn't see that. So, probably is going to assume that he's going mutas. So at this point, I would probably have liked to see the Terran push out a little bit. Maybe make a medic and a fire back just in case of a backstab and push out. He is getting a pretty quick factory, so maybe he's thinking that he's going to be
Yeah, the quick factory is kind of interesting. The Terran stim is almost done. We do have a 2, 4, 7 Marine and 2 medic push. It seems like a couple of the units are lagging behind, and I don't think he will be able to get this timing accordingly. But a scan does go down in the main, I believe. All right. Oh, okay, 1 in the main and the natural, so he knows exactly what the Zerg is up to. So if he might be able to win this with proper control. Oh, never mind. Disregard. He's going to pull back.
Tyrant knew it was coming anyway. I just want to point out Tyrant actually had perfect placement. He has the Overlord there near 12 o'clock. He has another Overlord near the 3 o'clock, and he has a Zergling outside the bridge. Pretty simple, but very, very important. He saw that coming. That's why he was able to make some Zerglings in the second Sunken, so he could be just fine.
Yep. So once again, really clutch scouting coming out from the Zerg player. And looks like his build has been pretty on point. His Mutalisks are about to pop. He got 9 in total right off rip, throwing down his Hydralisk Den, and then going to build 2 additional mutas to get that 11 count before his Lurker upgrade, and then more than likely a Queen's Nest to follow right after that Lurker aspect upgrade is started.
This is a very, very weird play from Snowfruit. I wonder, for some reason, he thought he was playing against Lurker. That's really the only time that I see Terran's factory like that, especially with the add-on. Usually if it's for some kind of heavy Lurker play, you get some tanks out or some vultures with mines.
Yeah, usually this playstyle has a third racks into it, but he's not really pushing out, so I guess a defensive style, this is going to be just fine. He does keep the Marines back, is able to snipe out, I think it was only maybe 1 or 2 of the mutas, which is always a nice pickup. And the third is about halfway done for the Zerg player, so once that is up and operational, he is going to be able to take a significant economic lead.
I also want to point out that the Terran has about 900 gas, which is never in a good place. I see him making a starport now, but still only on 2 barracks. And for the Zerg, I would have liked to have seen him bring the mutas around, maybe hit the top of the main, where there's no turrets, to lure the Marines in, and then send that pack of lings that you have out in the middle of the map to hit the natural and maybe pick off some of the turrets or the bunker to set yourself up for the lurker.
And yeah, it's he took his gas a little bit too quick for the natural, so that does cause a little bit of an issue. But for the Zerg player, I mean, he's playing this pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed overall with his build, and the macro's not too bad. I know he has about 800 minerals, but he has pretty good timings on
this is going to be relatively difficult for the Zerg to hold this pressure because he hasn't really done anything to the army, and even though it's been based off of 2 barracks, this 3 siege tank and bio push is going to be a devastating thing at the natural of the Zerg player because the hive was delayed for so long. It hasn't even started yet, even though the Queen's Nest is up and operational. So the longer he delays his hive, the later his defilers come out. The later his defilers come out, the bigger opportunity these siege tanks are going to have on pretty much all that is Zerg.
At the same time, a large amount of mutas is still left. He still has those 2 groups of Zerglings in the middle of the map, and now he has 2 lurkers. I like the fact that he kind of burrowed them pathway, but not in an obvious place like just beyond the bridges. They're even hard to see with the terrain.
Yeah,
just outside his bridges.
Pretty nice. It's cute.
But Snowfruit looks like he's actually trying to push down to the bottom left.
Oh, the Mutalisks are going to focus down one of the siege tanks. That's a nice pickup.
Very good pick. Losing a couple Zerglings and probably going to lose that Overlord as well.
Uh-oh, here comes the lurkers, but a scan, clutch scan coming down, and those lurkers go just as fast as they came.
And just like that, I think the Zerg threw away the advantage that he had.
Oh, it's N Baker. That's the Zerg.
Okay.
All right, so Snowfruit just continuously rallying units to the third of the Zerg, so this third is not looking too great. And a SCV going to the bottom right-hand corner, and a third being thrown down at the 3 o'clock. So I really like this. And he's double expanding behind this. So he is completely aware of the situation that he is in and knows that he's more than likely going to be able to delay this third, if not just kill it off completely, and then set up a contain to just completely get a ridiculous economy going.
And I'm not sure why Baker made so many Hydralisks. If you look at Joel, it's almost like he's making Hydralisks to make Hydralisks instead of trying more workers. He has a lot of them. There's only 4. That's 2,000. I would have liked to have seen him make a couple of more macro hatcheries and start producing a lot more Zerglings to try and support his needs.
Yep, so looks like Snowfruit is going to take his opportunity, push up the third, killing off 2 of the lurkers and the rest of the mutas. Backstab coming up from N Baker on Snowfruit's siege tanks, but he's just going to ignore that and just kill off this third. There's no Nidus Canal here for N Baker to resupply this base with additional units, so this is pretty much all she wrote. And kills off the siege tank, so that's a nice pickup.
So he might hold on to his third, but he lost a lot of units. He lost all his drones, so this base is pretty much not mining.
Oh, wow.
Still,
Yeah, he does hold it.
he still has 2,600 minerals. Again, he needs probably 2 or 3 macro hatcheries in his main expansion or 2.
Yeah, he definitely needs at least 2 to 3 macro hatches. But here comes a drop into the main. Currently no Scourge to be able to stop this. I really like... Oh, wow,
Nice
a lot
reaction.
of lurkers. Yeah.
Hopefully he will pick up these minerals.
Oh, Scourge comes out just in time and kills off the rest of the army, so that's nice. Only one medic's going to be able to live to tell the story.
Very good reaction by... That was pretty impressive.
Alright, so we got ourselves a double barracks thrown down, so we got a total of 4 barracks going and an additional factory being made, and a double armory. So we are going to be seeing tech. Oh, okay, there, or a mech, and there is the 3 factories being built on the bottom right-hand base. So Snowfruit is going into that bio mech switch, which is really, really useful and a strong thing to do. So
especially with the bunker on the ramp where he has him with the turret. I like that. Very good defensive positioning on his natural. That'll set him up to be able to macro and switch into mech behind that. And that makes a lot of sense about why he took a double expand. He'll have 2 extra gas geysers.
Oh no. And Baker throwing a handful of lings at the bottom right base of Snowfruit, and there's currently nothing here to really stop this aggression.
But luckily Terran can just lift off everything.
Yeah.
Though for some reason he hasn't lifted off his command sensor yet.
Oh no. Is it going to fall? If it falls, that's not good.
It might actually. I think it's going to go down.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Oh!
Now he has to kill that SCV from repairing it. Yep. Now he just has to deny SCVs from coming to repair it.
Nah, that's going to be a little hard because... there's a huge lurker army from the 3rd that is making his way to the base. Kind of indecisive with these lurkers. Looks like he's actually going to be opting to go for the 3 o'clock position.
I think that's a good position. I think.
But the bunker finishes just in time. So bunkers are never, or lurkers are not really good at breaking bunkers. But if it gets it, about 6 lurkers, I guess it is. Oh my God! The command center at the bottom right's going to die.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But
at least he saved the 3 factories floating.
Still no Nidus Canal. That is definitely going to be something that's going to bite him in the ass later down the line.
And somehow N Baker, with only about 7 drones total, has managed to amass 4K minerals. This is new meta for ZVT. If I was the Zerg at this point, I probably would have taken another expansion or 2, made about 4 or 5 more hatcheries, and then just started trying to produce a whole lot of units. He does have a hive, but I don't really see any lurkers, I don't see any ultras, I don't really see any defilers. Probably attack either 3 o'clock or the bottom right, since Terran switched to mech. He doesn't really have a big army at this point. Right now he has a good timing window. Probably take out both of them, put himself in a position to win. I think if he doesn't, though, he's going to snowball out of control.
Yeah, so like you're saying, though, since the Zerg was able to do a little bit of damage in the midst of the transition from bio to mech for the Terran, it did give him a window, and he definitely did seize it by delaying the 3 o'clock in bottom right-hand corner base. Ooh, Dark Swarm going down. But they're not burrowing. There we go. Gotta love that pathing. Alright, so these lurkers were in a great spot. Most of them fall down. Looks like he's going to be able to have 2 to continue with his aggression. Nope, he's only going to have 1. But if he is able to continuously push his way into the natural with the Dark Swarm, he will be able to do a little bit of damage. But at the same time, it looks like Snowfruit is going to be trying to retake the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm pretty sure once he cleans up this Zerg army, he's going to take the third. Oh! The Lings!
If only he had thrown those Dark Swarm downs, then sent the Lings. Probably done a little bit more damage. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen him try and hit the 3 o'clock base and kill that off first to the natural. Because now he doesn't really have much of an army left. Economy's in shambles. Now Snowfruit has amassed a large amount of mech. So once he decides that he's able to walk past his choke, he's probably just going to run the... And having said that, here come lurkers under Dark Swarm, but they're not burrowed. Now they are.
Ooh, just a little bit too late.
A nice D-Matrix there. That tank did work. Oh, Scourge. One vessel.
Nice.
3 vessels. Nice.
Nice pickup.
It's just a case of too little too late, though.
Alright, so it looks like Tyron is going to stop with his aggression and start trying to get back in the game with his economy. I really like how Snowfruit has his barracks is spread around so he knows where, like pretty much a good map vision. He's going to be able to see a lot of the movement of the Zerg player.
Yeah, he has good barrack spread. He's also planning some good mine coverage. Plus, I'd like to also point out, ever since that initial drop at the of Tyrant, Snowfruit is at a ninja spy medic there with 8 health. He's still alive, just spying on the Zerg's main.
Yeah. And she has moved around, so she is getting some scouting information.
Right. So she's probably a good-looking spy. That's the only thing I can think of. So for reclaiming the bottom right, he has those 3 factories, even though they haven't started really making much yet. Needs to probably transfer some SCVs.
Oh man, the SCVs in the main are due to pathing, they're not going to any bases anytime soon.
They're actually locked in.
Yeah.
He needs to probably lift one of the factories.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it can take him to notice that. The SCV trip.
He's probably wondering why his economy is not blowing up yet. All right, so looks like we got a lot of Ultralisks coming out from Endbaker. This actually could do a significant amount of damage, regardless of where he goes to attack.
And I noticed that he got the shield first, which is good, but this time we do see the player remembering to get the speed. So speed is about halfway done. He just needs to add a lot of support units now, some Zerglings namely, maybe a Defiler or 2 and some Scourge. He should have a pretty good army, but a lot of tanks though on the field, probably going to present a problem. I think a drop would be a good to come back, possibly drop on them, right?
Yeah, drops are definitely one of the most effective things you can do versus a mech army. And to the maximum rank you can be into this league is C+, right?
Yeah, it's basically a red and a yellow mixed league.
Oh, okay. That's it.
Best league around, by the hands down. Shout out to Laser Snipe.
Yeah, someone in the chat was asking about it. All right, so boom.
Somehow, even though he has no workers on his 4th, full in every other base, and Baker's still up at about 3,600 missiles. He's really having some macro issues. If he wasn't, he probably wouldn't be as far down as he is. I mean, probably kill clock base, probably even kill the main around the map if he had a decent enough army, but.
Well, I mean, you got to think though. With N Baker, his APM is about a 90, which is you're limited. You know, there's only literally so much you can do with that. So I mean, you can definitely see where he goes into like attack mode, and then when he goes into macro mode. But he is definitely doing the smart thing, taking a lot of the bases. It's just if he'd be able, I'm not sure if he utilizes his hotkeys or whatnot, but there's something that would definitely be something he could work on. Is just cycling through hatcheries nonstop.
Yeah, I do know a thing or two about having some slow hands.
Yep, slow hands, man. Not everyone can be as good as Eric Clapton.
Yep.
So
and some of the SCVs still stuck in the main. Either that or they happen to be patrolling around the base. I'm going to go with stuck in the main. And I think he just realized because he just moved them manually and stop. He is expanding out to the bottom right. His supply is getting pretty up there.
yeah, once this Zerg army gets big enough, like possibly maxed out, if he sends them all in one direction, he will be able to crush the Terran, because the Terran, well, I guess the bottom right is probably more secure than the top right. So I don't know. It really comes down to when the engagement happens.
I would probably think that going up and around from the 12 o'clock base, down and around into the natural, and then the Terran is probably his best option. Because at the bottom right, he has the tanks on the high ground, and there's a big field. But let's see where he's going to choose to attack, or maybe he's also running low on. So for the Terran, he actually has pretty good upgrades. 2-2. Just started his 3-3. So that's going to be a pretty scary army. He does have good mind coverage around the map, good vision. So there's nothing that's going to come out that's going to surprise him. Here we go. We have a big army movement from the Zerg coming out of the map, hitting some mines. Like to have seen him maybe run a handful of Zerglings.
So whenever dealing with a minefield, you want to at least send like 1 or 2 Zerglings and just have them move command across the mineral field, or the not mineral field, but minefield.
Ouch.
Because the splash of the mines, as you can tell on these ultras, do a significant amount of damage. And now the Terran's looking like he's going to be in a pretty dominant position. But at the same time, we do have another engagement going to be happening at the bottom half of the map.
At least he has a nice army of Scourge with ultras at the top. He just needs a lot more Zerglings or support units. With 4K for him. Nice round of Zerglings.
How you doing, Babbo? Oh man, those vultures went into the wrong area.
If he attacks the bottom right, he could probably do some damage soon. Especially with that Defiler there. And this time he is running a Zergling ahead.
Alright, nice.
If he doesn't go soon, then that Defiler's going to get
irradiated. Alright, there's a swarm. Let's see where the follow-up swarm's going to go. Really good stuff coming out from Snowfruit with the SimCity blocking it, so the Ultra is pretty much going straight dirt mode. And
yeah, he should have targeted a depot first and then run.
Yep.
+2 tanks, OP.
But the Ultras are going to be able to bypass the supply depots now and get some attacks going down onto the siege tanks. But nope, siege tanks are going to be able to clean up the rest.
Yep, tanks OP. But that Ultra did work.
Yep, and now the Terran has a huge army. Let's see if he decides to push out anytime soon.
For some reason, Zerg just threw away a couple of more Ultralisks. I don't think he has enough support units with his Ultras. Cows are amazing, but you have a shitload of Zerglings or Hydralisks around them to give them support. Somehow, I don't know where all his units are. They're probably not gathered. Baker is up to 180 supply. I just have no idea where his units are. I see a small handful at the natural. His fourth. If he probably had them all gathered, he could have probably done some damage.
Huge siege tank line sieging up at the bottom left-hand corner, natural of N. Baker. And as you can tell, the power of the siege tank are just completely melting these ultras as the Zerglings.
I think he's waiting for his canal, which is just finished. So he should probably start ferrying some units over. And here they come.
Oh, and there it is.
Throws out a Dark Swarm.
Ooh, that Dark Swarm was clutch. These ultras are going to be able to get a great amount of damage off on these siege tanks. And this actually might stop the push.
I like the fact that he's pumping Zerglings behind him.
Yep.
He's sending units from the top. I don't know why he's sending units from the top left. He should have went to his canal. I guess he's going to try and do a counter over here at the 3 o'clock position.
It's a good idea.
Might be able to infiltrate and do some damage. There's only 4 tanks there.
Oh, a big wave of Zerglings coming out, actually going to show their worth against siege tanks, causing the siege tanks to splash on their own siege, and then pretty much cleaning up the rest with the little health they have remaining. And lurkers, fun fact, if they burrow under a Dark Swarm, they take 0 damage from siege tanks. And at the 3 o'clock, N. Baker was able to clean up all of the SCVs and is going to be able to focus on this command center as well.
And now Snowfruit is actually going to attack the 9 o'clock base of N. Baker, which has quite a few drones, but is completely undefended. And so this is not going to happen. He did manage to hold his 4th. Pretty successful break. So this is getting pretty back and forth, actually, getting a lot closer than it should have been. Now actually N. Baker supply lead somehow. Now Snowfruit has moved all his tanks over to try and attack N. Baker's 6 o'clock position. So he's pushing the 9 and the 6 at the same time.
Ooh, nice multi-prong attack.
Yeah, I think N. Baker needs to either try and save these bases or do a counterattack of his own. He still has those units at 3 o'clock idle. 3 ultras and hand balloons. Actually send that into the Terran's main or the bottom right, either one, and just do some damage. It looks like the 6 o'clock base is going to go down, as did the 9, but he did manage to clean up the units at the 9.
Co-caster's Evil Eye. Yep, so good strategy coming out from Snowfruit, able to kill off the 9 o'clock and the 6 o'clock simultaneously, and is definitely in a great position now too, because his bottom right natural mineral line's almost mined out, but he also took the mineral only expansion up. But it looks like we got ourselves a 2 ultra and about 3 ling attack going down in the mineral line. This is actually going to do a lot of damage if Snowfruit doesn't react accordingly.
Somehow N. Baker still has nearly 5,000 minerals, even though he's only mining on 2 bases. He did manage to throw up his 9 o'clock base again, so that should be up and running soon. I would have liked to have seen the Terran probably try and expand up towards the 12 o'clock, which he's starting to do now. He take his 3 o'clock, which he hasn't started doing yet.
One thing about N. Baker's, he hasn't gotten any upgrades for melee. He's actually just now starting it. His armor is 2, but his attack is 0, so it's going to be a lot harder to be able to kill off any of these mech units, especially the fact that tanks have 4 in total, plus 3. 3 threes up for the Terran mech, so that he's in a really, really strong position.
Yeah, that's why earlier there was at the 4th of N. Baker. There was one Zergling that attacked the tank about 460 times and still didn't kill it.
All right, so these siege tanks actually fall to a pretty strong Ultralisk attack, but it seems like the rest of these Ultras are going to be able to get cleaned up.
Ultras are so strong. They did work. At least they denied the mining from the metro at the bottom right. Now we have N Baker reclaim the 6 o'clock position again. I don't know why he didn't try to take the minute only in between the 6 o'clock and the. And Snowfruit actually built his command center at his natural 3rd. Now he's floating it over to the 4th, probably because of the gas. But it's going to be very hard to defend, especially now with a few things coming over.
I feel like these vultures are going to be able to clean it up, if not then the spider mines.
I didn't see the vultures. Lucky pick. But he does have an overlord there, so he's 100% aware of the center going down.
He finally lifted the factories for the units that were stuck behind. Oh, looks like the Zerglings are finally going to be able to do some damage to that 12 o'clock, like you said earlier. Mineral only is being taken. Seems like the Terran's in a very dominant position just due to the fact that he's really spreading out the Zerg army. But the Zerg does have a lot of resources. Oh no, the 12 o'clock falls.
Yeah, it was just a handful of Zerglings with crack, even though they don't have an upgrade on their attack.
Never doubt the power of crack.
But now a couple of siege tanks are probably going to kill off the 9 o'clock base for N Baker.
Yeah.
Mines going in to do work at the 6 o'clock base. So nice little multi-pronged attack here for the Terran player.
Terran players have been doing pretty good at these multi-prong attacks.
He just needs to work on his SCV management. Bottom right base is natural. There's a lot of SCVs now mining and clock base. That base should have been up a long time ago. But having said that, he has pretty good macro going on. Doing work at the 6 o'clock base, taking that down. I have to say, if I was in the Terran's position, I'd be pretty frustrated. It seems like he keeps running over the Zerg's expansions, but the Zerg has an infinite amount of money. Somehow, N Baker still has 3,000 mineral. I don't really understand how the hell this happens. Got some Zerglings chasing some tanks out in the middle of the map. Probably gonna run into mines. If they drag them into tanks, that would be good, but they're probably gonna stop.
Oh, the Zerglings! Ooh, nice.
N Baker actually taking the 12 o'clock base. That's a good strategy, I think, to deny that base. If he can hold on to it, it'll probably put the Terran in trouble somehow.
You're nuts. You know that, right? You're crazy.
Yep, so looks like Snowfur is actually setting up his siege tanks to just completely destroy this hatchery. But no, it looks like the response from N Baker is going to send a lot of Zerglings, surprisingly, and is going to...
If they can only drag the mines.
Oh, one of the siege tanks. Friendly fire.
I think he should send a couple of Zerglings over to the top right, clear out the mines, and then counterattack. But having said that, Snowfruit is preparing for it by sieging up in his natural.
Are you hungry?
It looks like Snowfruit is gearing up to take the 6 o'clock position.
Yeah, the Terran player does seem like he's going to be going for that 6 o'clock, which definitely would be nice. Every base he can get is definitely going to be like within leapfrogging distance with the siege tanks.
Now it looks like the Zerg is coming over to the top right. A lot of siege tanks, so this is probably not going to work out well.
Mother siege tank and vulture. Zerglings are not going to be able to deny that.
Now Snowfruit will probably just run over to the clock.
You can't just steal chicken. Go eat your food.
And some vultures planting mines outside at 9 o'clock. Now all the ultras are going to run into them.
That's a bad Snoopy. How dare you?
Yep, Ultra's super beefy. Oh man. Oh, that's awesome.
That
Yep,
was very
and
good play by Snowfruit.
yeah, and the 12 o'clock is going to be denied by the mech army, and it's going to clean up so much units from the Zerg.
Yeah, the mech army is 3-3 at this point, so it's pretty much just going to melt the entire Zerg army.
Looks like we got an engagement coming down at the 6 o'clock, able to kill off a few of the siege tanks. This Ultra actually getting in between all of them, but that Ultra dies instantly.
Actually, the Terran has one siege tank on the high ground as well, the 6 o'clock position. So nice little cute position there.
Oh, wow, yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's actually really cool.
And somehow N Baker's money is finally below 3K. So maybe that means he actually is in trouble, even though he only is mining on one base. But it looks like a big group of Zerglings, at least one Defiler is coming up here through the 12 o'clock, probably going to try and hit the natural. Terran is a good position. Of course, the Defiler on its own dies. So that's pretty much going to shut down that attack.
Whew.
At this point, Terran pretty much has secured the victory. All
Yeah,
he needs to do is just run over the bottom left.
it's just a matter of
Especially now that
time.
this Defiler at the bottom left has been irradiated. There goes a Dark Swarm. But the irradiated Defiler once again killing off a lot of his own Zerglings.
Oh, so, I mean, I definitely love N. Baker. His,
Enthusiasm.
yeah, his enthusiasm and the passion's there. It's just, he just needs to
Snowfruit
move
with
his
a lot
hands
of
a little bit
units
more.
queued up in his main. Look at the main of Snowfruit. I think when he lifted those factories,
Oh,
and dropped them back
God. Yeah.
down, yeah,
Yep, like I said, the later a game gets, the more sloppy things become, and it's just one of those things that the only way to improve it is just trial and error. Just play a shit ton of games, and it just becomes cleaner. At least you try to make it seem like it looks cleaner. But a huge Ling army going to be able to come here at the 6 o'clock and going to kill off this base again. Man, his Zergling hit squads are pretty awesome. They've killed off a lot of command centers. I definitely respect that. Oh, this one Zergling, is he going to be able to kill off 3 of the siege tanks? Oh, and the Scourge hitting the vessels. Good stuff. Oh my God.
yeah, that one Zerg is doing work,
Oh my God.
but it's going to take him forever.
It is, but it's so awesome to see. Oh my God, that is a hero Ling right there, man. That is a devouring one. But at the same time, it looks like we're going to be seeing a huge siege tank line just destroy the 9 o'clock. We need that devouring one Ling to get over here and really help out. Yeah, that Ultra didn't help.
Either some queens or even a couple of those Zerglings and dropships would have helped versus this kind of tank-heavy army.
You mean OV drops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, drops always are beneficial.
at the same time, at least he did get the mineral only to lift the Terran, flying away now. He's pretty much just too broke at this point. Maybe
Yeah, the
finally
Zerg.
100 minerals.
Yeah, is at 100 minerals, and he doesn't have any type of income. So this is pretty much the Terran's game.
There's one vulture at the 12 o'clock, pulled out by some Zerglings, but I think it ended up picking off a couple of drones that died. I think this game is pretty much over. And Baker, I don't know what he's waiting for. Just a few last hurrah. He does have a couple of ultras left outside of his bridges at the bottom left. But I think if he tries to attack the 9 o'clock position, he's probably going to just die. Here comes some vultures. Clock. That's going to shut down that base. We have the last hurrah here in the 9 o'clock base. 2 ultras versus 10 tanks. or Ultra. We should be seeing GG any moment. So yeah, I just want to say congratulations to all the players who played. Big shout out to Team Assimilate, Team Ass for taking it down. They will be playing Team Dragon Herb, your team, next week again for the Grand Finals. Tune into that.
Woo! Go Team Dragon Herb! No biasm here.
What buys them? And yeah, I mean, thank you guys for tuning in. It was supposed to be Sil. Sorry about that.
Is it Sil or Salee? I'm not sure how to pronounce the name.
You know what? I call him Sale, so that's his name. I don't really care how it's pronounced.
Sounds good to me. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. This was the CPL League. We are going to have one last stream of the finals as the two teams heat up. My co-caster Evil Eye just said. Or am I the co-caster? It doesn't matter. But
I'm the co-caster. You're the pilot.
Damn straight.
Thanks for tuning in, and you know, big thank you to Laser Snipe for this league. I really think this is probably the best league in Brood War. You have a couple other leagues out there, but a lot of whiny, crybaby, foreigner bitches on there. You know, pretty much fuck it up for the rest of the community. So you know, Laser Snipe is the man. Hopefully, he'll come back for a second season of CPL. So many people showed up, and you know, it's just a great environment to play in and meet people, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm really happy with it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to all the players today again. Congratulations to Assimilate. Good job on Magical Ponies. You guys got this far. And, you know, hopefully we'll end up having a great match next week for the Grand Finals. I'm really excited about that. And don't be surprised if you guys hear some announcements in the coming weeks as well. Laser Snipe always has a couple of cool things up his sleeve, so look out for those.
All right, and that will be the end of this cast. If for all the people who are currently tuned in, if you stay tuned for an additional 5 minutes, I will be back to cast a clan war of Team OPSK versus Team OPDM, East versus West server clan war match. So make sure to stay for that, and I will be back in about 5 minutes because I need to go eat something.
Sounds good. Thanks again for saving the cast. Herbmon is legendary. Everybody needs to check out his stream. Like I said, you'll get some great Zerg play. You'll get the occasional dog bark or his lovely wife interrupting him. These are things that you can't find on anybody's stream, not even scans. So Herbmon stream, best stream. Check it out.
Appreciate it, bud. And take care, man. I'll talk to you later.
Have a good one. Bye.